Hi guys, it's Lee Hardon. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video, okay, let me just wait, before you go, let me explain. I got views. Like, bitch got views. Ooh. If y'all see my social blade, I be getting some views. And I'm like, where are these views coming from? The only video that my channel is like getting views from is from me reacting to the Kardashians.
Ow! Oh my god.
And you know what? I was just like, maybe I need to hop on this reacting train. So today, we're gonna be reacting to My Teacher Got Me Pregnant, But Doesn't Love Me.
Have you ever done something truly evil and destroyed someone's whole life?
Have you ever just like destroyed someone's life, you know, out of usual? Like I did it last week or anything. She says it's so natural to the point where it's like, it's a little scary, bruh.
Well, I have. I was 19.
Girl, you 19? I mean, me too. Like, I can't talk shit. I'm 19 and I'm barely gonna graduate, but like, bruh.
And about to graduate from high school. But then my math teacher, Mr. Cumberbatch, told me I'd failed his class and would have to repeat the year. I was devastated because I had already made plans to go to college.
How are you gonna make plans if you're failing? Like, bruh, like, that just does not make any type of sense.
So I started crying and begged him to show mercy and let me pass. But he said, no, and shook his head. In a last attempt, I gave him a big hug and said, please, Mr. Cumberbatch, isn't there anything I can do? He pushed me away and said, no, it's too late now. But I showed persistence and kept begging him, saying, please, 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 Mr. Cumberbatch, isn't there anything I can do for you? Finally, he had a change of heart and wrote down an address on a paper and said, okay, come here on Saturday, 6 p.m. We will do some math exercises, and if you do well, I will change your grade and let you pass.
Bruh, ain't no teacher ever gonna give a kid an address. They'll be like, oh hell nah, you done fucked up, you failed, that's it, you gotta repeat the year.
I gave him one last hug and said, thank you, Mr. Cumberbatch, you are the best. When Saturday arrived, I was very nervous. I didn't know if I was going on a date or if I was getting a private math lesson.
Oh. A little date or whatever. she wild.
But just to be sure, I dressed myself up. I put on my old school uniform, but made a few changes to look as exciting as possible.
Oh my gosh, what? Bro, she said nasty. She looked dirty. Oh my gosh.
When I arrived at his house, he opened the door and said, come in, you're looking gorgeous today. I responded with, thank you, Mr. Cumberbatch. You're looking good, too.
They flirting. They like each other. Like, they like each other. Mr. Cumberbatch, or whatever the hell his name is. And she's like, you know what? That F gonna turn into a D, and it gonna be my D, period.
We sat down at a desk, and he told me to solve some math problems. But I couldn't focus. Mr. Cumberbatch was so close to me, and I realized how attractive he was.
Bruh, how are you gonna just realize he's attractive right now? Like, when I know someone's attractive, I'll be like, oh, he cute. Mr. So-and-so. Oh, what is your full name? What's the number? You know, I'm legal. Like, I really can text you. Like, I really move countries and schools just to hit you up. Like, don't even get me started. Like, how you just gonna realize, like, he's cute? Like, whatever.
I mean, I was 19 and he was only 10 years older than me. What turned me on the most was the authority he had over me. He could decide whether I would pass the year or repeat it.
Honestly, like, I guess she's into like more like someone who's more in charge. Like, I mean, I get it though. Like, I get it. Like, for me too, like when someone's kind of like in charge or like not, like, I don't know, there's something about someone being in charge that like turns you on. Like, I wanna be with you. Ruin my life. Like, is that just me?
At one point, I just stared into his eyes and hoped he would kiss me. But I guess he was too nervous. So instead, I kissed him. And he liked it. Kissing my high school teacher wasn't technically illegal, but we still broke the rules of our school. A teacher-student relationship was strictly prohibited, but that's what made it so exciting.
Oh, okay. I see her. She liked the danger. She liked the breaking the rules. She said rebel, like Radio Rebel. Y'all watch that movie?
When we said goodbye to each other, I asked him if I had studied enough to pass the year, and he said, You have worked very hard today, and therefore I will let you pass.
Y'all just made out. That ain't working hard. I can do that. You know what? Where's Mr. Cumberbatch? Because I really need to pass my algebra. Geometry. Sorry, not algebra, but geometry. Like, if he passing kids for kissing him, like, I really will make out with him. Ooh, girl.
I said, "Thank you, Mr. Cumberbatch," and gave him one more kiss on his mouth. This might shock you, but it was my first time.
They fucked. They fucked. And it was her first time. Okay, she's a little child or whatever. But bruh. Oh shit.
And because of my inexperience, I forgot to tell him to use protection.
Wait, but like, okay, first off, is it the girl's fault or the boy's fault on this? Like, is it? I'm not even gonna get it.
So 2 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant.
He busted in her. Oh my gosh. Why did he use a condom? Like, don't he have a condom? Damn, he really just busted in her. Oh my god, that's so crazy.
I didn't mind though, because I really liked Mr. Cumberbatch. The next day, I went up to him at school to tell him about the baby. I secretly hoped we would become a couple. But when he heard the news, he got angry and said, "You will go to the pharmacy right now and get the pill."
Ooh, girl, she not happy. I mean, he not happy. Like, he don't want that baby. Damn, he really questioned her genes to become a family.
I didn't like the way he talked to me. This was my body and therefore my decision. I asked him if he was interested in raising the baby with me, but he freaked out and screamed, "I already have a wife and kid. I'll never take care of your stupid baby."
Stupid baby, that's fucked up. That's your baby, actually. That's messed up.
"Go to the pharmacy right now." I screamed back, "You're married?" And he said, "Of course, and don't act like you didn't know. All my students know I have a wife and kid." Wow, what a jerk! Not only did he betray his wife, but now he was trying to put the blame on me. I got angry and said, "I will keep the baby and tell your wife what you did." That's when he almost had a seizure and screamed right at me, "You won't do that!" But then I had an idea. I knew I would keep the baby anyway, but at least I could pretend to make a deal with him. I said, "If you turn all my grades into straight A's, then I will change my mind on the baby."
Ooh, she's blackmailing him. Oh my gosh, stop playing. She a little smart though.
Mr. Cumberbatch was desperate. He agreed to the deal and snuck into our school at night to change my grades on the principal's computer. But 2 days later, on my graduation day, things went wrong. When my principal handed over my report card, he took a quick look at it and said, "There must have been a mistake." I immediately knew my plan had failed, and the next day I got my real report card, and my grades were terrible. The only A I...
Wait, they're C's though. They're C's, they're passable. Relax. You can still make it into a Cal State. You're not like... And even if you went to a community, you can transfer. Duh.
got was in Mr. Cumberbatch's math class. I knew it wasn't his fault, but I was so angry, I found out his address and went to his house. A woman opened the door, and she was pregnant too. I asked her if she was the wife of Mr. Cumberbatch, and she said yes. Then Mr. Cumberbatch appeared next to her. He stared at me in a very threatening way. For a moment I had doubts, but then I looked straight into her eyes and said, "Your husband got me pregnant, and he has no interest in taking responsibility for his mistake." I hoped she would get angry at her husband, but instead she got angry at me, screaming, "You bitch!"
You bitch! Fuck you! Why is it always the girls? Why is it... Girl, let me talk to you. How are you gonna scream at the other girl? But yeah, your homie really... The homie? Oh my god. Your homie, your whole man, whatever, baby boo, daddy, everything, bae, whatever you call him, really did you dirty and went with this other girl. Like, first off, the student didn't even know. She didn't even know Mr. Cumberbatch, whatever the hell his name is, had a baby. Like, I mean, girlfriend. And a baby, actually.
"You've seduced my husband, you dirty bitch!" Wow, if Mr. Cumberbatch hadn't held her back from me, I might not be alive today. I was shocked and went back home, but it got worse. The next day, she came to my house and used a golf club to break in through a window. My parents weren't at home to protect me, so I fled to the rooftop and called the police. They arrived in time and took Mrs. Cumberbatch into custody. 2 weeks later,
Damn! Oh my gosh, she really ruining his and her wife. Like, their lives are just not. You hear my voice, like, I just sound stupid, but anyway.
she was sentenced to 24 months in prison. But this story gets even crazier. I called up Mr.
24 months, bruh, the baby. She's pregnant. She's gonna give birth in jail. Oh my gosh, that is so sad. Honestly, that is so sad. Like,
Even crazier. I called up Mr. Cumberbatch and told him we needed to talk. We met at a restaurant and I asked him, "How much child support will you pay me each month?" He responded, "I'm only a teacher."
you know what? These teachers, like, I'm really not gonna get into it, but teachers really need to get paid right. Like, I have heard from teacher to teacher and from a lot of people, I'm not gonna say who, that they're not getting paid right, and it's just fucked up. And I'm not gonna say anything because I'm not a teacher. I don't have that place, but I know y'all bitches really need to stop.
I don't make much money. But I asked again, "How much child support are you going to pay me?" He said, "Look, my pregnant wife is in prison and we both know she is insane. I will divorce her as soon as possible and I'd like you to come live with me. It will be the best for both you and the baby." I immediately said yes because I was scared of being a single mom. But after my daughter was born, I had to take care of both her and Mr. Cumberbatch's other baby. At first I didn't mind. I loved them both. But then I saw how Mr. Cumberbatch preferred his other daughter over mine. He spent more time with her and treated her so much better. Every morning he said to her, "Hey, sweetie, good morning. I love you so much."
Damn. But then again, like, that's messed up. Like, I feel like Mr. Cumberbatch should really say I love you and stuff and treat the same to the girl's daughter. Yes, it wasn't meant to happen. It was an accident. You busted in her. She probably locked her legs. We don't know. But, like, that is your daughter either way. Like, I don't know. I just don't feel like you should treat her any different. But, I mean, that's just my opinion.
And then he completely ignored my daughter. I had to admit that she was the perfect child. Extremely beautiful and very smart. Much smarter than my daughter. At age 2, she already spoke fluently. I often screamed at Mr. Cumberbatch, telling him to treat them equally, but he never did. At one point, I could.
That's fucked up. He needs to really treat them equally. Damn. I really will find Mr. Cumberbatch. Where we at? I'll put deodorant in his eyes.
Take it anymore. I went to a lawyer and asked him how much the father of my child had to pay me in child support on a $40,000 teacher's salary. He told me to expect at least $1,000 per month. That was a good amount, but I knew I could do better.
Oh my gosh, some people don't even get that much. I mean, I don't know. I don't have kids. I do want to have kids. Not that I'm planning to, like, child support, none of that. I mean, that's no. I don't mean no as in, like, oh, like, it's bad or whatever, but I just, like, no one really plans to have child support and stuff. Like, you just always assume there's both parents, but, you know, you never know. I don't know. I heard 400. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe because he makes a lot, or I don't know.
So I went to Mr. Cumberbatch and said, "I will move out, but I expect you to pay me $2,000 in child support each month." Of course, he told me he didn't have enough money to do that. But I continued, "If you don't pay me the money, I will tell the school authorities that you got me pregnant while I was one of your students. I'm sure they will fire you for that." He got angry and said, "How stupid are you? If I'm gonna lose my job, then how am I gonna pay your child support?" I responded, "You are demanded by the law to pay my child support anyway. If you don't, you will go to prison just like your wife."
Oh my gosh, she's trying to get them both locked. She's trying to send them to the peak. She really ruining Mr. Cumberbatch's life.
"You are insane. All you women are insane," he said. But I didn't care. I told him to get a second job, and we figured he could tutor kids to afford the $2,500 in child support. Meanwhile, I moved back in with my parents and life became much easier for me. Right now, my mom takes care of my daughter while I'm going to college. With the $2,500 Mr. Cumberbatch sends me each month, I have enough money to feed my daughter and party through the weekends.
What the hell? That's a responsibility. Party through the weekends. Hey y'all ready? I really just sent my daughter to bed. You know, she really sleepy, but we gonna hit the club tonight? Damn, she said multitask. She said I can be a mother and go party tonight.
Trust me, I really enjoy my college life. But Mr. Cumberbatch had to move into a cheaper and smaller house. He couldn't afford his old rent anymore. I knew it was wrong, but for some reason, I deeply enjoyed seeing Mr. Cumberbatch suffer.
Psychopath! Oh my gosh. Damn, she needs to get help. She needs to get checked or something. You know what? I really will send a therapist recommendation for you. You know, if you need it, like.
A few months later, I checked his Facebook and saw he was back with Mrs. Cumberbatch. I was still envious of their daughter. I didn't think they deserved such a perfect child. So one night, after I came back from a college party, I did something terrible. I put a bunch of photos of me holding Mrs. Cumberbatch's daughter on a USB stick, put it in an envelope, and sent it to their new home. I wanted to let Mrs. Cumberbatch know that her husband and I had been living together while she was in prison. I'd hoped she'd...
Damn, that's really fucked up. Like, she's bullying them at this point. It's not even like, you know, you fucked up. You weren't supposed to get me pregnant. You busted, or I locked legs, but it don't matter. We were supposed to use protection. What if I got them STDs, though? But then all of a sudden, like, it just took from, you know, this shouldn't have happened to, like, I'ma bully you for the rest of the motherfucking life.
...get angry and break into my house so the police could arrest her again. But this time nothing happened. And instead of giving up, I took it one step further. When it was time to receive my next child support check, I went to their home to pick it up personally. Mrs. Cumberbatch opened the door looking shocked to see me. I said, "I want to pick up my child support check in person." She said, "What are you talking about?" And I responded, "Your husband didn't tell you? He pays me $2,000 per month in child support so I can take care of my daughter." I saw she was getting angry. And then her daughter came to the door and saw me. She immediately started screaming out of joy and ran up to me. Her mother said, "Don't touch her!" But I didn't care. I picked her up and said, "Oh, there's my baby. Mama is back now." Her mother...
Oh my god, that is so shady, bro. Mama's back now. That's what she said. I see you.
took her out of my arms and screamed at me, "You dirty little girl! All you do is destroy happy families!" I responded, "If you're such a happy family, why didn't your husband tell you he's paying another girl $2,000 a month in child support? And where is he anyway? I'm sure he wants to sleep with me again." She responded, "You better not come here again or it will be your last time." And I said, "You better be careful your husband doesn't get another girl pregnant. He really doesn't care about you." That's when she suddenly ran into her apartment.
Damn, how are you gonna talk shit and not defend yourself? Oh my god. It really be the people who, they be running their mouth, but yet they can't defend themselves. Like, bruh.
I was afraid she was getting a knife, so I quickly got out of there ASAP. But on my way home, I felt weird. Like I had done something wrong. It seemed that Mrs. Cumberbatch had matured and was really trying her best to make things work. Meanwhile, I was the one trying to destroy their family and making everyone miserable. I knew I'd messed up, and that's why I decided not to bother them anymore. I still receive my child support checks, but now I fully focus on my daughter and on college.
Like, okay, my comments are like really like everywhere. Like, the homegirl locked her legs or he busted. I don't know which one, but it happened. You know, she went, she got pregnant. And then she ended up being a bully and taking it to court, sending the wife to jail. Baby, I don't know, intimidating their relationship. That's just really sad. But you know what? Life is crazy, and I feel like some lives just, you know what? I don't even gotta get into this. It's cool. Anyways, like and subscribe if you want to see more. Comment down below. Oh my god. Okay, anyways, I'm still shook, like, actually watching this video. So, I'm gonna let y'all go. Comment down below what you think and like this vid because, you know, I'm a YouTuber and subscribe. Like, anyway, I'm gonna go. Y'all see my titties? Oh.